This video will present a study conducted to improve our senior design project, the Smart Recycling Bin. It contains a brief background about recycling in Qatar, introduction to our project and its design, interviews with professionals regarding our project, and we are going to end the video with a conclusion. Qatar is growing rapidly. As a result, consumption of materials increased drastically. The rapid industrialization of the country and high population growth generates a lot of waste in the form of glass, paper, metals, and plastics. Most of the waste in our daily lives can be recycled to either be turned to raw materials or processed again and reused. Qatar's daily waste generation is estimated to be about 7,000 tons per day. Qatar's per capita waste generation rate is one of the highest in the Gulf due to the lack of packaging laws and limited awareness when it comes to waste management and recycling.
For that reason, we propose to design and build a prototype for the smart recycling bin, which will be able to detect the material of the object thrown in the bin and then direct it to the corresponding container. What are the benefits of the smart recycling bin? The smart recycling bin will create no confusion regarding which color bin to replace the object in. It will also increase the recycling in Qatar, as well as the used materials such as plastic and metal instead of importing from outside. It will also empower Qatar's vision toward a greener and more advanced country. And now we leave you with interviews we conducted with Mr. Raed Al-Imadi and Mr. Khalid Bujassoum to get their feedback and advices for our project.
Generally speaking, it depends on what sort of recycling it is. As you might be aware, Qatar's national vision for 2030 has a pillar which is actually protecting the environment. As such, recycling business is gaining more importance by the day, and we see that with the fact that people are now more concerned with their decisions in terms of the products that they use, the way they utilize the products, the longevity of the product, and the way they dispose of it ultimately, which all is suggesting that there is more social awareness about green businesses and the need for recycling more of our daily products. The way I understand the products is that it does the automation bit of somebody stopping, pausing by the dustbin. They don't need to actually figure out what sort of item do they have. Is it plastic? Is it a paper cup? They just throw it? Or the trash takes care of it through sensors and whatnot. Now, the challenge that I see is the fact that it is momentarily. If you see elsewhere, whereby Japan is one, the UK, the US, these are the areas where people have developed sort of social awareness, and it became part of their culture to actually protect the environment. So you see that even in product selection. They do it as a gesture to protect Mother Earth, to be sort of a contributor to a larger sort of scheme. If your product is successful, it will go out of business because people then would love it so much that they'll do it on their own. That is the sort of the oxymoron of the whole business. The key advantage and the key differentiator is that you don't have to pause by the dustbin. But if somebody's loving the environment so much, they'll pause nonetheless. So I see it's being there for a couple of years, and then people will do it ultimately. So the innovation bit on your side is where the real challenge is.
So I think it's three interactive components that they influence each other. So even if you have the back end set, you have the technology, the convenience, but there is no awareness, then we've got imbalance solution. And the same thing happens if you have awareness, you have a technology that can be installed at home, but then once you get outside the home, going to the recycling or garbage collection plants, then there is no really mechanism. So that can affect the motivation and the actual impact of recycling technology development.
If you look at Corniche and Pearl, there is somewhat of a similarity, but you can't, because it's more or less a paveway, walkway by the sea, by water. But if you look at Qatar, there is the beach side, but much of it are alleys. You need to differentiate. The people, the visitors or the Pearl are completely different than the ones who visit Qatar, are completely different than the ones who are visiting the Corniche. Corniche, because of its stretch, its geographical location, has more use. There are people who actually jog. There are the families who go and camp. There are those who actually just go for a restaurant or two. There are those who go for the tea time, for the curry. There are those who are just commuting, passing by. There are those who sit idle for a couple of days. And there are those who actually fish. I'm giving you different sort of people that ultimately will pass by the dustbin. How are you going to attract their attention? How are you going to, if you're going to target these, the area is not, ultimately your client is the person who has a piece of trash in their hands and they want to throw that. That is your true client. And so the feel, the look, everything about the dustbin should be inviting. It cannot be complicated. A person cannot dwell about and look at your product and go, where should I put it? It should look seamless. The logo, the slogan, all has to be inviting. And unless you actually know who you're targeting, you can't just say private, public places. These are not your target audience. Your target audience are the ones who are stopping by the trash to get away or dispose their items. And you need to go through the psyche of these. You're not targeting the ones who will throw the trash just because they don't care about where they throw it at. You're targeting the ones who are already aware that they need to keep a clean place, that they have the social responsibility. They're walking all the way to the dustbin and throwing it. They're not waiting for somebody to actually go pick it up right after them in the form of a cleaner or in the form of somebody else. So that is the difference between the people who are going to be using a product. Only then would you know if it's valuable or not, or viable.
Looking at it from multiple disciplinary and putting this thing in your mind, so when you conduct your activity you try to involve all stakeholders. That's number one. Number two, try to put the businessman hat on your head and evaluate and balance between your technical effort and your customer experience understanding, so you can really have a successful outcome with a very strong argument. Listen, this is beneficial. Even if technically slightly didn't work, then okay, listen, give us a chance because it has a potential. Let's learn of what we have developed. It's institutional knowledge that we have understanding of the problem. And hopefully out of it we'll have a constructive solution that would be really realized and create a huge value and a proper return of investment. Your question is a question of principle. Will you use a product that helps you recycle or not? I earlier told you I just put buckets and do it, and that's it to me. But so in principle, yes, of course, I'll buy it. What price tag I can put on it, I don't really care much relative to the value you are delivering, because I really believe in this. So it would really depend on what value are you bringing to the table, and why can't I just bring a product off the shelf, I don't know, from China, from wherever, and use it.
The study emphasized that in order for our product to succeed, it must be simple, compelling, and user-friendly. The mechanism of the smart recycling bin must be fast and effective, specifically the detection stage. There must be a complete circle that connects our product to the user, the government, and the recycling companies in order to reach a successful outcome for the product. I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for your attention.